Join Jessica Smith on the Like a Girl podcast, where she defies odds, shares inspiring stories, and empowers women to embrace their inner leaders. Tune in for a transformative journey.
I mentioned it was like living a double life. And it really was, because when I think back about my home life and my work life, I think about the blessing that I got out of it. That's the only thing I can do, is think about the good that came out of my situation. And at this particular time, the good that came out of my situation is that I felt so helpless in this relationship. Here I was, I just thought I was, big and bad. I was from the streets. I would fight if I needed to, had no problems in school. And all of a sudden, I was being bullied by a whole grown-ass man with a bad drug addiction, mental illness, and whatever other malfunctions he had. And I was helpless because I wasn't as strong as I thought I was. And I had no way to get out of it. But when I walked in that door at DirectBuy, I was in control now. I was winning now. I was good at what I did, and I was a superstar. And it was all within my control. So with that really became my second home. I wanted to be there more than I wanted to be at home. And we used to have this saying, there was a tree that sat outside of the employee door that we came through. And there was a saying that the leaders had, that whatever you had going on out there, hang it up on that tree before you walk in. And for them, and for most people walking in that door, that was just a saying, right? It was just about being focused and leave your distractions on that tree or your worries. But my guess is no one was hanging the burdens that I was hanging on that tree before I walked in that door. But I would legit stop. And at that time, I smoked cigarettes, and thank the Lord that he cured me from that addiction. But I used to sit there and laugh to myself and smoke a cigarette before I walked in and look at that tree and just laugh and say, that tree cannot even carry the burdens that I have to leave. But I did. That was my mindset. And I went through this whole thought process before I walked in that door. And when I did, not one person in that building had any idea what I was going through. So I really found a way to take that dark place that I was in and just turn it into a bright light. And like I said, I was successful. I was good at what I did, and I felt that it was the only thing that I could control, that my hard work would pay off. So I remember going to my first conference at DirectBuy. It was in Phoenix, Arizona at the Gaylord. And I usually don't remember details like that. But I remember I was at the Gaylord. It was the most beautiful hotel I had ever stayed in. And I remember the person, her name was Lee. And she got up and she said her speech, and she talked about how much she loved what she did. And she was just so excited and enthused to come to work every day. And I remember thinking, I wonder what her life is like outside of work, because she just seemed so put together and so happy, but she encouraged me. And I remember leaving there thinking, I can do that. I can be that. So I went back, and at the time, I wondered why everyone on our sales team had college degrees. Everyone. And I'm not just talking about regular, I mean, we had people with degrees from the University of Michigan. These were highly educated people. And I remember observing, thinking to myself, why the hell does someone need a college degree to do this? And finally, I worked up the nerve to ask, why does someone need a college degree to do this? And as a matter of fact, I may have not asked it that way. I may have asked it in a way that was like, do you need a college degree to do this? And I don't recall if it was one of the leaders or if it was the owner himself, but I do remember being told that, well, here's the thing. Our customers are not your regular people. Like if you're going to pay $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 for a membership just to spend thousands of dollars to shop with us, these are people that are middle to upper class. And I'm like, okay. And they said, so you really have to be relatable. It's also a high pressure sales environment. All right, well, what exactly does that mean? Well, it means that you meet someone, you shake their hand, and within a couple of hours, they are giving you their credit card for thousands of dollars. And if they don't do business with you today, they don't get to come back tomorrow. And I thought, okay, it makes a little more sense, but I'm still not convinced that you need a college degree to be successful in doing this. And I really set a goal for myself, not just that I wanted to do this and be good at it. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be up on that stage the same way I saw Lee on that stage. And let's be clear, DirectBuy was no different than the automotive industry or a lot of other corporate environments where there were not that many people who look like me. At that conference, I might have counted 2 or 3, and I could name them off to this day. That's how many of us were in the room. So that part was an additional motivation to me. Not only did I want to be the best, but I wanted to represent something that I believe was probably never represented at DirectBuy in their 75 years of being in business. So I set that goal for myself. And that's really what took me to the next level, is setting that goal, is visualizing myself on that stage, giving that speech, accepting that award, and I was committed. I was all in. So I got my opportunity to be a director. And as I'm going through the training process, I was just so fascinated by all of the psychology behind the sale. So everything was a performance. And of course, I was all over that, because if you ask my family, they would tell you that ever since I was a wee little girl, my acting skills were there. They were there. They thought that I would definitely win a Grammy one day doing something, singing, dancing, acting. So I was ready. I was ready to perform and to learn how the moment our customers walked in the door, everything was planned, everything was scripted. It was all for a reason. Where we set them in the lobby, how we greeted them, how long we set them down before we introduced them to a salesperson. And the moment the salesperson shook their hand, which, by the way, that was a performance too. If you were a female, you shook the hand of the wife first. I learned how to shake a hand and why it was important that your handshake was firm. I mean, I was really fascinated by the whole process, excited to learn it. I took notes. I took good notes. I believed in the entire system. And when I got my opportunity, I was ready. I was all in. I remember the first couple that I had ever greeted. I shook their hand, firm handshake, the wife's hand first, husband's hand second. Come on in. How was your day today? Anything exciting happen? It's the first thing we ask them. Anything exciting happen? And I begin my script. And I was about 2 lines in, and I couldn't remember anything. It was gone. And this thing was, I mean, I could probably say it in my sleep. I could say that thing backwards. And in that moment, it was gone. So I kept talking, because when you're in training, they tell you, don't worry if you forget, just keep talking. They don't know your script. Just bullshit your way through it. That's what I did. I don't know what words I said, but they were definitely not the words on that script. So after our initial introduction of the script or sales process, you would offer them water or coffee or something to drink, and you said it in a way where 9.5 times out of 10, they would say yes. So it was multiple choice. Would you like water or coffee? And I said that part right. We go into the cafe, and I'm like, okay, now's my time. Well, we're supposed to leave and give them an opportunity to talk to each other and express their first impression of you. I went straight to the bathroom instead of to the front desk to get my name tags. And I went in that bathroom and said, Lord, I'm going to need you to help me right about now, because I am drowning and I can't remember anything. And I just got this opportunity and I'm about to blow it. And so again, all I have is prayer. That's all I got. So I prayed. I left out of the bathroom. I go get the name tags. I come back, And again, everything is scripted. There's a part where there's just small talk, right? And we don't know where that's going to go. But everything came back to me. Whatever parts that I missed from the beginning, I got that out on my way to our seats. It was great conversation. It was clear to me that God had answered my prayer from that bathroom. I'll tell you, when I sat down with them, I heard some things in my head, and maybe you can relate. I heard the reason we have people who have a college education is because you have to have a conversation with them. They have to like and trust you. Two of the three reasons why people buy. They have to like and trust you. The other thing I heard in my head is, what do you have in common with them? You want them to give you a credit card, and you don't even have a credit card. All these things were running through my head. Today, I can articulate and say that it was nothing but the Holy Spirit. And I said, I shut them down. I shut it down. And in that moment, I'm like, that's not true. You're a lie. I can do this. I'm going to be on that stage. I'm going to be the number one. I am better than that. And I just had a real conversation with them. I was just myself. And I didn't worry about it. I got outside of my head. It was great. They went through the presentation. We sat down, and guess what they gave me at the end of the night? Their credit card. They joined. And I was so excited. I was so excited. My first one, and they closed. Now, of course, at the end of the night, I was told, don't get too excited. There's something called beginner's luck. Don't get too excited. And I thought, okay, I get it. But I was good. I was good. And I noticed that the couple seemed relaxed. They seemed like they liked me. They seemed like they trust me. And I remember thinking that when I came out. And here's the thing. I expected them to join. I do remember that. I expected them to join. So I remember that piece, and that was also another piece that I took with me. And I just expected most people. Every now and then it was quite obvious that someone did not like me or did not trust me. But hey, 50% of the people were going to say yes. 50% were going to say no, even if you were good. So I got off to a really good start. And one of my goals wasn't just to do it well and be the best. But I remember thinking that I want the owner to know that we are missing out on a great opportunity. Now, remember, this was before diversity and inclusion and equity and all that stuff was even a thing. But I wanted them to know that we were missing out on an opportunity. And we had a high turnover rate too. And to me, it made sense because we had these people with degrees a lot of times straight out of college and they came to work here, but this wasn't like just any old job. This wasn't like 9 to 5, just do your work and go home. At some point, these guys figured out, like, I got a whole college degree. I don't need to be doing this. You are cold calling people. We are working until 10, 11 o'clock at night. We are working all day on Saturday. At the end of the day, if you have not met your quota of cold calling, I guess you are staying a little later today. This was hardcore. So I think they figured out that, yeah, I don't need to do this. So a lot of people did not stay for very long. And it just made me think that they have many other choices. I'm over here, I'm making good money. I don't even have a high school diploma at this point, much less any type of college degree. And again, it's not needed. Not to do what we're doing here. So that was a big part of my motivation. And I would be the first person that would be that successful in that role and not have a college degree. Now, at this time, my brother is in the Kentucky State Penitentiary, and this is the one that I'm closest to in age. And of course, I am the one who is writing him. He went from the juvenile detention center until he was 18, and then shortly after that would catch a case and go to the Kentucky State Penitentiary. And, you know, even sometimes to this day, I have to catch myself when I say this kid. And the reason why, my husband asked me, like, why do you reference him when you say this kid? And I think the reason why is because ever since we were kids, there was always this, even though I am 2 years younger than him, there was always this feeling of obligation that I had to take care of him. So he was pretty much a bully when we were growing up, but I'm sure most big brothers and little sisters have that relationship. But, you know, I tell people that even the Lead Like a Girl was inspired by, he had this thing that he used to always say when we would play football or play basketball, and he'd get frustrated as he was trying to teach me to dribble or teach me to throw the ball. And he would say, "You throw like a girl." And I never said it, but I used to think, you're such an idiot. I am a girl. And that's really where Lead Like a Girl came from, and was really inspired of the thought of him always saying that to me. But our relationship as kids was such that we had to wake up in the morning and go to school, and he never wanted to wake up. And all I kept thinking is, he's going to get in trouble. This kid's going to get his butt whooped before he even gets to school. And I would wake him up over and over again. Sometimes I even put his socks and shoes on while he was sleeping in the bed because I didn't want him to get in trouble. And I just didn't understand why he didn't do the right thing when he knew he was going to get in trouble. So there was just this weird thing that I always felt like I had to be responsible for him. I'm like 4 and 5 years old thinking, what is this kid going to be when he grows up? Like, I'm going to have to look after him. I'm going to have to find him a wife. I don't know. Like, what about his kids? I thought about this. I used to sit and just wonder this about him. And so just forever. And of course, when my dad died, I saw how it impacted him and the decisions that he made. And so I just always felt like I needed to look out for him. And when he got sent to the juvenile center, he didn't have really anyone in the family to write him. So I would write him letters and we'd talk on the phone. And so I just always stayed connected to him. And even when he went to jail as an adult, I made sure that he always had money on his books. He always had somewhere to call me, collect, so that I could encourage him. And so at this time, he called me, and I was just really excited to be able to share with him this opportunity that I had. And of course, he was excited for me. And at this particular time, I said to him, I am just so excited about this opportunity that I really think that I could do this for the rest of my life. And I remember him laughing at me when I told him that. And I said, no, I'm for real. Like, I don't have to sell drugs anymore. I don't have to steal diapers anymore. I don't have to do anything but come to work. And I'm good at it. And I'm making a lot of money, more money than we could even make on the streets. And he's like, well, why do you think that they're going to keep teaching you and allowing you to move up? At some point, they're going to figure out who you are. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? They're going to figure out who I am. It's like they're going to figure out who you are. They're going to know. And I said, no, they know who I am. But I'm good at what I do. So he said, okay, I want to see. When I get out of here, I want to see. And I said, well, I was thinking, and I have the craziest idea ever. And just hear me out. And he says, what is it? And I'm like, I just need you to keep an open mind and hear me out. But I have a crazy idea.
Thank you for tuning in to another insightful episode of Lead Like a Girl. We hope you found today's podcast valuable. If you enjoyed our podcast, please consider subscribing and leaving a review on your preferred platform. Your feedback is crucial in helping us continue to provide high-quality content. If you found the content inspiring, we would like to encourage you to share this podcast with your network. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories and leadership insights on Lead Like a Girl. Until next time, lead with passion and purpose.